Power Hour with John Lee.
But that wasn't the case in Pennsylvania, in Springfield shopping mall in 1985. What happened? Sylvia Segrist happened. And what do we know about Sylvia? Normal family. It's hard to get much information on her upbringing, but I'm not seeing anything traumatic there. But I do know that she joined the army. She was obsessed with military stuff. I've never met a girl who's obsessed with military stuff. I met a girl that was in the army, but I wouldn't say she was obsessed with military stuff. But anyway, she was, and she joined the army, but they discharged her. The army discharged her. She was only young. They discharged her for basically for insanity. They realised that she was insane, that she had serious mental health problems, and they released her. And she was actually diagnosed by the army and by private doctors after she was released as a paranoid schizophrenic. And she was known in this shopping centre, in the shopping mall, Springfield shopping mall. They knew her because she used to go in there marching up and down in a uniform and complaining that the colours were too bright in the shops and all that. And they knew she was like the local nutter. And one day, she turns up at the mall. She's 25 years old, and she turns up at the mall with a gun. And she's got the gun by her waist. I don't know if you can see that, but just down here like that. Not doing that. And she'd been in the army, so she must have known that. I don't know what was going on with that, but she's kind of shooting randomly and missing people. Maybe she didn't want to kill anybody. Maybe she's just trying to make noise. I don't know. But she missed a few people. And I think in missing people, she accidentally shot a 2-year-old kid. I think it was an accident. I think she was completely insane. And she did something terrible. And she shot this 2-year-old boy and he died. And then she went in and she's walking around shooting people. And she shot 2 old men, senior citizens. And it turned out that the reason she was doing this, and she killed 3 people and injured 7 in the shopping mall. Which, I mean, can you imagine the scenes when people realised what was happening? And the reason that she was doing this was because she wanted prison, because the hospital was so traumatic for her. Apparently, she hated the hospital so much. She convinced herself that prison was actually a better place for her. But I think she knew she couldn't be on the streets. She knew she was dangerous. She knew she couldn't fit in with society, and she needed to be taken off the streets, and somebody needed to come in and do this. And she thought, well, I'll go down to the shopping centre and I'll just shoot some bullets off and get arrested. And what happened was she was doing that. She was shooting the gun. And this guy comes out of a shop and he thinks it's a joke. Doesn't know it's a real gun. And he just grabs the gun off her and says, oh, you've picked the wrong person to mess with, and rip the gun out of her hands. And that's where it ended. She just kind of had a reality check. And I think she's probably happy, like, thanks for stopping me. Why did nobody stop me before? Some part of her brain. And so this guy becomes the accidental hero. She's never getting out of jail. She's gone to prison, and she's never getting out. I know that jail and prison are different. She's in prison, and she's never getting out. No way. And I don't think she wants to. And I say that because she sent letters to President Clinton, Bill Clinton, and various other congressmen, loads of people, saying it is not right that I was allowed to buy a gun and ammunition. I was a registered paranoid schizophrenic. I was released from the army on mental health grounds. How is it possible that I can walk into a shop and buy a gun and ammunition? Look at me, I'm a fucking lunatic. And look what I've done. And now I have to live with that for the rest of my life. Do something about it. Change the law, change the legislation so this doesn't happen again. Did they change it? Did they do anything? No. If they did something, it wasn't effective. And we can see that today. So another woman I'm gonna hit you with at the Goleta Postoffice. Yep. This is in California as well. And it's Jennifer San Marco in 2006. Now, what do we know about Jennifer? Well, she grew up in Brooklyn. Apparently, she was very quiet, but very smart, in every way. Smart in her appearance and smart in her mind. With a good sense of humour, very attractive according to the boys, and very popular in that way. But she didn't really have any friends or any social skills. That's what I know about her. And then she moved, as you say, out east in America to the East Coast and went to California as an adult, really. Teenager, adult. And she had various jobs. She worked for the police at one time. Well, she was a dispatcher, dispatching police cars. The 911 calls and all that. And anyway, she ends up getting a job in a post office, in the national post office. And that's a good job. It looks boring to me, a lot of this kind of stuff going on. But still, it's solid work that. You're well paid, good benefits, which you need in America for your health care and your dental care. And just in case you're American, we get all that free in Europe. But that's a really good job there. So she's in there, she's working there for 6 years, and she starts off, and she's all right. She's friendly, she's attractive, and yeah, great, brilliant. Really hard worker, really fast and intelligent. No problem. But then she starts talking to herself. And she's having full-blown conversations with herself in the post office. Right? While she's working. A big postal centre. It's not like a little post office. Big, massive sorting centre. And she's working in there and she's talking to herself. And then they mentioned in what I've seen that the machines were really loud. Maybe that's why she wanted to work there, because she was talking to herself and the machines were so loud that people wouldn't hear her talking to herself. I don't know. But I wouldn't be surprised if that was part of it. And she worked there for 6 years, and she's going slowly mad, right? And she's actually diagnosed at one point as being having severe mental illness, and they retired her. She had to take forced retirements because she was mentally ill. She was not correct in the head, and I suppose she took it as a firing, but technically it was early retirement, but not something you choose, something they do to you. And she moves away to New Mexico and lives in a little A-frame house. It's proper prairie stuff. It's like desert and, 25 houses and a shop. And she was living there. Now, previously, I forgot to mention, previous to this, when she was living in California, she had a next-door neighbour, a woman, and she had troubles with her. Well, that was a problematic relationship with the next-door neighbour. You need that information. So she's living out in the arse end of nowhere, and she's got an imaginary friend. And everyone in the town knows her, and they know she's got an imaginary friend. She's going into public buildings and shops, wherever she goes, with the imaginary friend. And arguing with her imaginary friend in shops and in public buildings, and praying and kneeling down in the street and praying and cutting her hair mad, just chopping her hair off, which you can do if you want, but apparently it didn't look good. And she starts a publication called the Racist Press, which actually wasn't racist, so I don't know what point she was trying to make there. But she was intelligent, so she probably had a point. But at some point, she gets a gun. She goes into a gun shop. This is the local lunatic. So she goes into the gun shop with her fucking imaginary friend and orders a gun and ammunition. And it takes 15 days to arrive. Right? So she's just got to wait now 15 days to get her gun and her ammunition. And the guy who owned that shop had 15 days to go around the town. It's only a little town. Go around and say, look, do you know this woman? Oh, you mean the one who talks to herself? Yeah, she's a lunatic. No, it's because she wants a gun. Well, don't fucking sell her the gun then. You don't sell guns and ammunition to someone who's got an imaginary friend. I mean, it sounds obvious to me. But that's not what happened. They sold her the gun. And she took the gun and she got in a car. And she drove back in one go, in one sitting. Apparently it's really far, into New Mexico. And she went to the house where she used to live. And she went to a neighbour's house, her ex-neighbour at this point, and attacked her in her own home. Attacked a woman. This is a woman attacking a woman, a next-door neighbour. And it looks like from the scene that there was a fight, and she shot her and killed her. And then she got back in a car and drove to the post office where she used to work, this big sorting centre. And she needs to get in. So she sees a guy who's got his pass to get in because she hasn't got a pass anymore. She doesn't work there. And she pulls the gun on him. Give me the pass. So she gets the pass off him and he runs away and doesn't get shot. But she takes the time to execute 3 women at point blank range before she walks in the door. And I don't know if there's something about women in this, because she shot the next door neighbour. She was a woman. Maybe that's irrelevant. But she lets the man go when she gets to the door and kills 3 women who've got nothing to do with anything. She's already got the card. But she stops to execute these 3 women at point blank range. Bang. Cold blood. Then she walks in and she happens across 3 more women. Takes all them down. Bang, bang, bang. Shot the last one 4 times. Because she'd been practicing. I forgot to mention, in California. She'd been going to gun ranges and she'd been out in the backyard, practicing with a gun. She knew what she was doing. She was decent. But you don't have to be decent at point blank range. But she got 4 shots off. Bang, 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 bang. All hit the target. And the first 6 people that she executed were all women. And then there was a guy, and he didn't see any of this. He's got his headphones on because of the machines. And she's walked up behind him and shot him point blank range in the back of the head. And apparently he was a lovely man. And one of the women apparently that I've seen spoken about was a wonderful person as well. And yeah, she killed them all. And then she stood there and shot herself in the head and killed herself.